So with the current market and just with everything, how the expense is just gone crazy since, well, Surgeon Spark started a little bit of hype, but then Prismatic just took it to a next level. The question is, what should you actually be collecting? What is there in any investment in booster packs? Which ones are the better ones to be having a look at? Now, obviously, if you go through to TCG, you'll be able to see a considerable amount. Obviously, if you go to the normal site, if we just type in booster packs, is that gonna bring up just packs? What about if we go Pokemon booster packs? Because I was kind of hoping that we could just see a whole variety of them. That's not worked. Okay, but price charting works like this. So if we was to have a look, and I don't know if we're going to be able to go by, as I said, we're not going to be able to go by set, are we? So what we'll do is we'll go by high to low, and then we'll go to the bottom, because realistically your vintage and kind of your older sets are going to be predominantly in here. Like, you're not going to be looking at kind of your base set to be investing in, unless, I mean, you're not watching this video. If you're doing that, the vintage is very, very difficult to find. But these are single booster packs, just to kind of show you the levels that we're talking about. Now, obviously, Japanese packs are going to be for another video, really. I would say they're going to be their own kind of issue to try and get. But naturally, you got your trigger trades at the bottom, which you buy in a bulk anyway. Realistically, the first pack that we're going to see is a base set Scarlet and Violet. Now, whenever it comes to Scarlet and Violet sets, I must admit, if you look from like Scarlet and Violet through to be honest, it probably was even Surgeon Sparks. You had a point where people just didn't want them. Even the likes of Paldea and Fates, which I really liked, they were a set that you could just find all the time. Temporal Forces, Paldea and Evolved, even Obsidian Flames for quite some time. They weren't necessarily the hottest sets on the market. And now, I must admit, some of the base set is not necessarily the most appealing, but it will still eventually go up. Naturally, it always does. And base set at the moment is kind of becoming more of a thing. Paradox Rift, I think, is an easy one as well. And I would say any of these sets, kind of looking at your Evolved, looking at your Scarlet and Violet, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, even then looking at kind of like your Temporal Forces, the sets where you could have bought the boxes for like 80 to 100 pounds under. So normally I would consist a booster box to be about 120 to 130 at a normal price. They were coming under after the first market wave. So having a look at them and getting them there would have been perfect. Now that's kind of gone. We are seeing them rise up that little bit more. Naturally, they were bound to at some point. It's even your Pokemon Go's do come in a little bit more expensive now. But even then, you've got to think, and this is the big thing, just because something is technically valued higher, you've still got to find the buyer. And if you do get kind of your very specific products, and this is where not just buying every product is going to work, you need to make sure that you're getting either sleeved packs so people buy them more, because I find that if you do get them almost as loose packs, you find that people don't buy them as much. Now, you still will, but compared to a solid sealed booster box, pack sleeves, so you know that there's nothing dodgy going on with them, that's kind of when you're seeing that they are being sold a little bit more like that. Whereas you still can get your kind of your Vivid Voltage, you can get obviously your Twilight Masquerade. I think that's another great set, especially with the Greninja. Twilight's coming in with some very, very nice cards that you can have a look at. And again, that's where you've got to look into what is your preference as well, because you've got to think, when you look at some of these sets and you think, well, is anybody trying to get the Greninja? Is anybody trying to get the Charizard? Now, naturally, normally the answer is going to be yes. But when you do look at some of these sets, like you think of Stellar Crown, realistically, the biggest one, other than going for just all of the alternative arts, is going to likely be the Terrapagos, or even then the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur is a very nice one, but it is the Terrapagos EX that's kind of the chase card at about 80-90 pounds currently. But realistically, is that it? Is people going for just the Bulbasaur Squirtle? If you look across the kind of border of the rest of them, yes, I quite like the Rainbow EXs. There's a few nice SARs, but realistically, it's not necessarily a major set. Whereas when you do look at Twilight, I must admit this is going to be one of more of my favourite sets. Obviously, the Greninja goes absolutely crazy. That is a set well worth having a look at the minimum. Like, that's a beautiful card. I'm not a massive fan of the Ogerpons. They're not necessarily my thing. Carmine, it's a beautiful card. Very nice artwork as well. You've obviously got the Blood Moon Ursaluna. You've got a few gold cards. Perrin is a fantastic one, especially if you are looking with the Growlithe added together. Very nice indeed. I do like the Chansey card. The Eevee's good. So there's a few more where I'm like, okay, I can see more. Even this, like, I am surprised. I know it's only, well, I say only. It is an illustration art. I am surprised it's only 14. I think this card is absolutely stunning. Like, that is a beautiful card. So looking at them sort of sets is always going to be fantastic. When we look at the Prismatic, yes, I agree. It's a phenomenal set in general for what cards we've got. Is it worth paying the X amount? Like, we look at the actual booster pack. You are looking at, I believed, I want to say, we go. That's not it. If we go, oh, we can see there anyway. You're looking at the minute at 12.65 market price. I just can't bring myself to buy it. With the pull rates that we know, it's regardless of if you like the set itself, it's always going to go up in value. This is just going to be one of them ones that is an expensive set. We've seen it from 151. That again is another very expensive set. Whether it goes up a crazy amount is the big question. Like, even 151 packs are still technically cheaper than Prismatic, and by all accounts, there is a better pull rate as such in the grand scheme of things. But when you do look at the Prismatic, really, it is quite a small set in terms of what you can actually get. Like, the EXs are obviously there. Then you kind of go down, you've got how many? Like 100? Was it 120? If we go 125, 131 on the base set, and from 131, you're only going up to 180. So realistically, you've got a lot that is coming from, well, a lot of value coming from some very specific cards. Moonbryon, Sunbryon, I suppose people are calling it. You've obviously got all of the evolutions. Then you've got to throw in a bit of Iron Valiant, Sandy Shocks, Roaring Moon, and they will naturally come down a little bit, but realistically the evolutions are going to stay at a very, very high price. So I think even if you can get Prismatic at all, it's always worth an investment. Like, in general, that set is not going anywhere. I think Surgeon Sparks is always a nice one as well. That set in general is one of my favorites. I managed to get the hit card from it, so it's already going to be one of my favorites in terms of a big set that I've managed to actually get the Pikachu, the Latios, but there's a lot of kind of substance around it. The Milotic's a very lovely card. Hydrogen, you throw in a few of the trainer illustration arts, and then you've kind of got your normal ones as well with the multiple Pikachus that you've got. The multiple, like, Slack Off, just love the design of it. I think it's really cool. Stunfisk being buried, Latios, you throw in a bit of Larvesta, that's quite a nice one as well. There's a lot of substance to this set that makes it one of the better ones in my opinion. And to be honest, in terms of packs, it will come in at the moment relatively cheaper, I want to say. I don't think it's actually that expensive just yet. So if we go Surgeon Sparks pack, we're looking at $7.33. I can still find them at the minute, basically £4 from just a local shop. Now, this is going to be specific single packs. It's not going to be anything sealed. That's obviously going to be paid a little bit more of a premium, I can imagine. And to be honest, it's going to take you a little bit more to be able to get it. So if we went with a Surgeon Sparks booster box, I want to say that's still coming in now a little bit more expensive, like $258. That's... I don't know if I could probably find it any cheaper, but we can see that definitely going up. If you're looking at a pack or a box, I would say they're trying to find the sleeve packs for a very smaller investment to start with. If you're trying to get in there, maybe running on the hype straight away might not be the greatest thing. If we manage to buy it at your normal price of your 150 to 170, which it was for quite some months after release, then you'd be absolutely laughing right now. Whereas then we look at kind of your Journey Together. It's not out yet, but it is going to be out very, very soon. It's going to come out as a very expensive set, and I don't think there's any question of that, to be honest. When you look at all of the sites, if you go to even like your Magic Madhouse, you look at that already. Like, this was a site that I normally are able to get at least one or two of the products. That's very sick. Series 5 booster pack. I like it. I remember that way back in the day. But you look at Journey Together now, like, from the actual release of this coming onto the site, it has been out of stock this entire time. So it is one of them ones that you have to kind of find whatever you can at this point. At the minute, it's going to be more looking around the shops and hopefully getting some packs there rather than necessarily getting sealed. Even when we look at Prismatic, I think the only thing that is in stock, or at least was in stock when I checked last, was a booster pack. And I think the booster pack was still coming in relatively expensive. Like, we're looking at $8.45. I mean, you could definitely get worse, but realistically, it's still a more of inflated price than what we've seen already. So it's one of them that you've just got to either take the hit and then it will rise eventually. Naturally, it's bound to. I think with these kind of sets at the moment, the Journey Together, the Prismatic, where stock is just impossible, unless Pokemon do manage to change anything, it's better off just trying to get them single packs. I wouldn't even necessarily open them. If you're going to collect them, I'm personally looking at just buying them at this point, because it is so difficult to be able to try and get. When you think of what you've actually got to get as well, you're better off just trying to get it and then saving up eventually to potentially buy the Umbreon. All of the basic set is going to be relatively standard price. Maybe waiting a couple of months to see if it does drop down, or even if we do manage to get a little bit extra on the kind of print run. But I think even by now, because it's been left a month or two already, people are going to be re-readied, or at least scalpers are going to be ready to go and just to fill their cart again. Whether they do manage to print on demand, which I don't think they're going to do. Maybe for Journey Together they could add a little bit extra, but at this point I've not seen many kind of go back in stock at the moment. So it will be interesting to see where it goes. Unless you're going to buy the big products, or if you've got a wholesaler, it's just not going to happen just yet. So I would say for the newer sets at the moment, it's going to be just get what you can, and naturally it will go up. I don't see it not. And even with the hype, people saying that it will burst a bubble and drop, I think with the fact that we've got the dedicated rivals, which is technically the hero set as well, the rocket set, then obviously going in for the 30th celebration, a black and white set, I think the hype is still going to be there for at least another year or two at the minimum. So it will be interesting to see where we go from here. But I would say for any of the new sets that you can't get, just try and get any of the little products. If you can find a pin, what is it, a text sticker, if you can find a poster collection, even just getting them and just keeping the promos and selling off the packs, eventually they will naturally go up in terms of an investment, I see. And Journey Together is bound to be the same as well. We're seeing a lot of products that are just unobtainable at this point, so it will be interesting regardless. Let me know down below though what you're thinking of getting. Are you collecting specifics? You could even go for Sword and Shield. It's still out there. Even if you wanted to go for like a Crown Zenith, it's still there. I know this is again a kind of specific set, but you definitely could still get it at a certain price. Obviously the specific packs coming in at $7. Even if then you wanted to go Astral Radiance, something a little bit kind of, would I say cheaper? A little bit cheaper compared to your Prismatic at this point, but it's still available if you look hard enough. You got $5.21 for the packs. The booster box itself is coming less than Surge and Sparks. This is a set that eventually will run out, and once it runs out, will it go up even more? It's going to be an interesting one.